Today's AskReddit post. Police officers of Reddit, what are some things innocent people do that make them seem suspicious? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. I've been a cop long enough that I don't try to guess at people's behavior anymore. People get nervous and act weird around cops. My wife cried the last time she got pulled over. Officer, I've got my license and registration in my glove box. I'm pulling it out. It's not a gun, haha. Imagine if it was though. Hahaha. I got pulled over in my dad's car once, and unbeknownst to me, there actually was a gun in the glove box. When I opened it, I explained. He understood, and after checking the gun on his cop computer or something, he let me go with a warning about my plates being damaged. Former Leo, I can tell you the most helpful thing for you, yet most infuriating, to the Leo, is to keep your mouth shut. Just, quit talking. It will be much better for you in the long run. I was never looking to just jam somebody up, but man, people get themselves in so much trouble with their mouth. I was always curious what would happen. I guess it's up to the cop if they wanna be a dick and keep you detained for a long time until you say something, but they cannot arrest you for being silent, right? I was a fire investigator for a while. It was talking a lot. Now some people just talk a lot when they get nervous, and that's easy to tell. Like those people aren't actually talking about anything. They're just saying words at you. The suspicious ones are the ones who are clearly trying to talk you directly to where they've set up their diversion, but can't just stop talking about it and adding more and more and more details. To the point where they've remembered too much about what happened. Okay, so short and simple as then. Also, never tell the same lie twice. I learned that from a simple Kardashian tailor. These comments are killing me. It's like when you go through WhatsApp and think, oh my god, do I have a bomb on me? Exclamation mark. Question mark. Exclamation mark. When you absolutely don't. Did I accidentally pack a gun I don't even own? Exclamation mark. No actual Leo's answering the question. Never change Reddit. But I have a sister who knows a cop. As someone who enjoys donuts and spousal abuse. Drop acorns on cars. Shots fired. Gwa, I'm hit. My spouse is a cop. They automatically think everyone is lying to them. I've asked multiple coworkers, and they all say the same thing. My parents were both cops. When you say everyone, you mean *everyone*. Learned quite quickly that it didn't really matter whether I told them the truth about any situation in that case, because if they thought it was beneficial for me to lie, I would. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove, sort of thing. I was stopped at customs in England by a John Oliver doppelganger who questioned me for 45 minutes about totally innocuous crap because my face got red, and the more intrusive the questions, the redder it got, and the more he pointed it out, the redder it got. I couldn't help it. Any focus on me causes my face to flush. But this guy thought he caught me doing something squally. My face got red. You'd fit in England. I know this isn't what was asked, but I've always been told, if you want to look inconspicuous around police, pick your nose. Nobody picks their nose if they think they are being watched. This is funny. More importantly, though, this is useful. There's a section on here called AskReddit. You will get answers on there from active law enforcement officers. I'm so tired of people wearing top hats and twisting mustaches, and they kind of hunch over and creep around railroads. They get furious when we come talk to them. So I actually am a police officer. One time I was just driving around and there was a lone dude walking towards me, and he made it a point to not look at my police car, just looking any direction but. It was like 3 AM and he and I were the only on the road. Obviously suspicious because most not guilty people will look and stare at us, so I flipped my car around and dude hoofs it, gets like 20 feet and slips on the ice. I drive up and he's someone I knew breaking curfew. Got a free ride to jail. Edit. Someone rightfully pointed out that I was vague about curfew. This guy was on court-ordered curfew as he had pending trial for sex assault. I explained in another comment too that this was a small friendly community where I had to adjust how I drove because we got waved at so much I needed my hand ready to reciprocate. Him not doing that was unusual in that particular community, so it caught my eye. I knew his face anyway, so if he did look at me, he would have gone to jail anyway. Had I not gonna lie, my anxiety sometimes tells me to not look at cops even if I'm not guilty. I can't imagine why anyone in America would be nervous and act in a potentially weird manner when confronted by an armed agent of the state who has been granted wide protections from consequence for moral, ethical, and legal wrongdoing, all while successfully arguing in court that they have no legal requirement to assist anyone. My friend got pulled over as a car full of us were heading from a bar to his place to continue the party. He gets out of the driver's seat and just runs. We were prob 100 yards from his apartment complex, so the other 4 of us get out of the car, since the cop ran after the guy driving. The rest of us took off running in the opposite direction. While we ran towards this unfinished apartment complex that was being built, backup came in droves and quickly. My one buddy hid in the insulation and avoided getting caught. My 2 other buddies got caught and went to jail. I also got caught, but pretended like I didn't know any of them was just along for the ride to an after party. Well, I asked the officer for a ride home, since Uber didn't exist yet in this small North Dakota town. Was also winter. On the ride home, I realize I'm out of cigarettes, so I asked the cop to pull into the gas station real quick near my house so that I could get eggs and milk for the morning. He kind of looks at me like WTF, but pulls in. So I of course get eggs, milk, and cigarettes. Lol. I couldn't believe it, but definition a nice gesture from the guy. My stepdad is a cop. He said that normally if they want to pull a specific car over, all you have to do is follow it for a while and eventually they will break some minor infraction, either because they are nervous from a marked unit following, or because there are just so many different laws that people break on the regular: crossing the line, slightly swerving, following too close, driving too slow, not turning on the turning signal soon enough. So basically if you're being railed by a cop and he wants to pull you over, he can. Yep. My dad spent 22 years in law enforcement and said something very similar. I had a cop do that once. Followed me for almost 2 miles, and it was obvious. I made sure to give him no reason to pull me over. He eventually got in the lane to the left of me and we stopped at the same red light. Rolled down my windows and mildly shouted out to him, "Not today, my man." He just shook his head like I was the asshole. Lol. I got arrested after my first accident, 2 days after getting my license, because I stuttered when explaining what happened. That's it. That's all that was on the police report. Do with that information what you will. The first time I got pulled over, I asked the cop if I could get my registration out of the glove box. He said yes, then pulled his gun on me for reaching. I don't trust cops anymore. This thread makes me realize there are far more people out there who just need to stay home than I originally thought. I recall a story of a statey who pulled over a car and the adult male was wearing a diaper. That's it. The trooper looks in the backseat and sees more diapers and baby powder and other stuff. The trooper said to the guy, "You're a sick bastard." The trooper let him go, and the diaper guy called the trooper's boss and complained that he was being harassed. Lol. True story. 911 operator/dispatcher for police. People over explaining and also being uncooperative and unwilling to give basic info. Sometimes you just get a hunch about people. Reach for their license and registration after they were asked for their license and registration. Playing with a BB gun in a park. Cashing a check. Driving with their wife and child in the car. Going for a run around the neighborhood in broad daylight. Literally sitting in their own home. Exist. Acorns. This is the second comment mentioning acorns. I need to know what this means. There was a news story a while ago about a cop who started shooting in a populated area because they heard gunshots and acorn falling onto the roof of his car. Not a cop anymore. But hostile / uncooperative behavior off the bat for no apparent reason. Like once I responded to a home alarm going off. As we pull up, a man starts walking out the house. I explain, we're responding for an alarm, and ask for ID. And he gets super angry and starts going off about racist police refusing to ID because this is his house and he doesn't have to show ID. Dude was shouting and flailing about trying to get in his car to drive away. Eventually got his ID and confirmed it was his house. But seriously, sir, how do I know you live here? Why do you even have a burglar alarm if you don't want the cops showing up? As a crime scene investigator who isn't a sworn officer but regularly goes to scenes and interacts with victims, witnesses, etc. These are two pretty common reactions I see that on the surface always seem so suspect, but I know are usually just nerves during a confusing or frightening time for them. 1. When I have to get a person's fingerprints for elimination purposes, always done by asking consent. Some people act nervous and ask if they are going to be put in the system. I always reassure them that it won't, but it always gets a chuckle from me when they realize how it sounds and try to backpedal so they don't sound like they are hiding from another crime. 2. We respond to some cases that aren't necessarily crimes. Most often these are deaths that aren't expected or where the person has no doctor to sign the death certificate. We are there along with the ME just to make sure there is nothing suspicious and things are documented so the ME can sign the death certificate. But families sometimes freak out when they see crime scene unit show up and get all nervous asking, why are you here? There's no crime here. I didn't do anything. When I was a cop I knew another cop who would try to find reasons to stop cars with Raiders stickers on their car because there was a higher than average likelihood they had warrants. He wasn't wrong either, always found it hilarious. Story time. I live in Canada, and a guy I know was borrowing his boss's car to drive to the US for the day, either because the car did not match his name or because he acted nervous. The border guy wanted to search the car. He pulled out a bag of white powder from under the passenger seat and asked, what is this? My friend just said, I never saw that before and it is not mine. It turned out the boss's girlfriend liked tequila and kept lemon and salt in the car. It took about a half hour to identify it, but my friend must have aged 10 years. Fuck all police. Officer, I've got my license and registration in my glove box. I'm pulling it out. It's not a gun, haha. Imagine if it was though. Hahaha. Asterisk pulls it out quickly as a joke, saying I'm not going out like this while reaching into my open car window as the cop approaches. It's raining and I want to grab my umbrella so I don't get wet. Went to a neighbor to collect a parcel. Youngish lad opened the door. You're not my neighbor, no I don't live here. Here is your parcel, though he closed the door. Then opened it. I mean, I'm not robbing the place or anything. Like, this is my aunt's house. Don't worry mate. Burglars don't generally answer the door XD. See? That's the marks of true professionals. Real. Experienced burglar will answer the door, so you won't suspect them of burglary. That dude was probably a legend in the Burglars Guild, and you had no idea. The last time I got pulled over, the nice gentleman asked for my license, and I said, isn't it on the back bumper? He actually recognized that from an old Cheech and Chong bit, and we exchanged many Dave's not here jokes. I got a warning. I really want to try that bit from a TikTok video where the cop says, do you know why I pulled you over? And the girl replies, because you got all C's in high school. It might not go over as well, since I'm not a cute girl though. I'm just a smart ass old dude. I mean, I'd laugh and probably let you off, but I have a sense of humor. Lots of cops I know are just giant insecure toddlers. So in conclusion, yeah, don't do it unless you know the cop well. A couple of years ago I got pulled over while driving home from a friend's funeral. I was already not in a great place, and I was extremely anxious on top of it because I didn't know why I was being pulled over. When I gave the cop my documents, He noticed my hand was shaking and started asking me if I had stuff in my car that I shouldn't have. That made me even more anxious. Thankfully, he accepted my answer when I told him no and that I was just coming back from a funeral, but ever since then I thought about how much it would suck if my being nervous around cops ever got me falsely accused of a crime. Likely won't happen, but it's still something I think about at times. I did too. Granted, I was heavily pregnant and I also had cried over orange juice earlier in the day. He just backed away slowly and wished me a healthy delivery. Then kind of threw out "Fix your tail light. Tell us about the orange juice." It wasn't pulp free. It had little pulp. Non-pregnant brained husband strained it out and made it pulp free, but I had already had my meltdown. Nothing makes you feel dumber than when you've got 2 brains in your body and way too many hormones. Honestly, this is a real answer. People act weird around us all the time. We are used to people being nervous around us. I had a reputation for a while of always pulling over women who would immediately start bawling as soon as I pulled up to the window. I like to give them stickers on the way back after running their info because it always got a laugh out of them and helped them chill out a bit. As long as you're not showing me any indicators that you might attack me, you're good for the most part. Even if I know you committed a crime and you're going to jail, if you're chill and don't play stupid games or try to hurt me or run, I'm gonna do my best to make my interaction with you as smooth and pleasant as I reasonably can. Why are you sweating? It's like 95 degrees out. Why are you wearing swim trunks? I was swimming and they dried from the 95-degree weather. Seriously, I always get *SO* nervous around cops and I don't know why. If I see a cop on the road, I probably start driving in a *LESS* safe manner because so much of my focus is drawn to making sure I don't do anything weird, which makes me do weird things because they can shoot you and make up any excuse they feel to get off scot-free. Yup, it's not irrational. They are living, patrolling evidence of an unjust society. Ditto. I was a reserve deputy for 8 years before quitting because we got a new sheriff who was an absolute trash human being. What is one person's tell is another person's bad gas causing cramps. CSB pulled over a dude. He was fidgeting, kept grabbing towards his belt, so I ordered him out of the car. He stood and immediately ripped one that lasted at least 3 seconds. Said he was trying not to do that and apologized. I still frisked him for weapons and gave him a warning for his expired tag. /CSB. Frisked him for weapons when he already discharged it. A spent weapon must still be confiscated. I'm an EMT and yesterday the cops called us to take someone they arrested to the hospital to get checked out before they go to jail. One cop had to follow our ambulance to the hospital, and even though I knew it was ridiculous, I couldn't help thinking I was going to do something wrong on the way there and he'd pull me over. My father and brother are also cops. They're very nice people. Why am I like this lol? Because whether or not you think they'll actually do anything, they'll always have the ability to do so without consequence. The ability to ruin your life in the palm of their hands. Edit. Over even the most trivial of things. Last time I got pulled over, I was shaking so much I could barely get my license and registration out for the cop. He kept asking me what drugs I had in my system. None. I was picking my kids up from school on a Tuesday afternoon. Not that people can't have drugs in their system on a Tuesday on the way to school. I'm the most boring middle class lady you'll ever meet. But cops terrify me. The last 2 times I got pulled over, the cops made up a reason to pull me over. Once for almost touching the line alongside the curb median, and once for going 90 in a 40 miles per hour zone, and tried to harass me into admitting I'd actually done something wrong. My husband had a panic attack when he got pulled over. The cops searched our car for drugs because he was acting suspicious. Lol, I literally told them they were giving him a panic attack and they finally backed off. I was always taught to roll down the window and then put my hands on top of the steering wheel and communicate any movements that I was going to make. I've only had a few run-ins with police. but it's served me well so far. I cry when I get pulled over too. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.